Hey folks, Tom here. Welcome. Tuesday night, the 14th. Sorry, I'm going to try to keep this mic. Hopefully it's not going to be too loud. Talk a little quieter on the yoga call so I can keep it a little closer to the mouth. I tend to get a little louder here on our calls, on our class. So if this doesn't work, just message me after the fact and let me know. Thanks for joining. All right, so let's start as we always do with our conditioning. We're going to do our sun salutation, our opening stretching routine like we always do. We'll do some push-ups, some sit-ups, some jumping jacks. We'll go through our footwork drills. I like the format that we have here where the first kind of half of the time we're together here is conditioning and drills. And the second half we introduce new topics and run some flows through that. I want to introduce couple new flow drills tonight as well. Not flow, but blade movement drills. And we're going to talk about back edge attacks, body alignment, what you can do with the back edge of our blade. And yes, even a lightsaber has a back edge and a front edge. If you don't know that, we'll go through that in a few minutes. So with that, let's start things up. Let's do our sun salutation opening stretch. So feet shoulder width apart, up to the ceiling. Nice reach. Down to your toes, knees, ankles, floor, whatever you can reach. Walk forward into downward dog. Keep that butt up in the air. Push those heels toward the ground. Keep your legs nice and straight. Dive down. Roll up into cobra. Nice stretch the lower back. Up into plank. Forgive me for those that just did the yoga class, but we can suffer through it together. Left foot forward. Nice stretch. And back. Right foot forward. And back. Hold it in plank. We're going to do our 1 minute plank at the end of class, so be prepared for that. I know you all can do it. Back into downward dog. Just time tuck your chin to your chest. Head through your arms. Walk it forward, stay in a squat, and stay on your tiptoes. We're going to roll up nice and slow. If you heard those cracks and creaks, those are my knees. Stay on your tiptoes, all the way up to the ceiling. Stay here, hold it, all the way out to the walls. Really reach, get that stretch. Don't cheat, you're only cheating yourself, right? I'm lazy. But don't be lazy. Don't cheat yourself, right? You can do things slow and precise, and that's good, right? Because you're going to learn things. You don't have to go quick and try to do as fast as you can. But if you cheat it, you're just cheating yourself, right? So don't. All right. Jumping jacks, 25, your pace. You're nice and easy. Don't push yourself. If you only can do 20, do 20. You do the count you're comfortable with doing. And then we're going to do some sit-ups and push-ups right after that. So, ready? Go. All right. Push-ups, sorry. I'm trying to find the best spot for this mic. We'll figure it out as we go through. I'm looking at the meter as we're talking. Sorry, that's why my eyes are down. Push-ups, 20 push-ups. Roll over, 40 sit-ups. You want to do knuckles? Great. You want to do palms flat? Great too. If you do them on your knees, also again, this is what works best for you. So nothing is negative as long as you're getting a good workout out of it, right? So you're going to do them on your knees. Make sure you get a nice angle so you can get that leverage, right? The more vertical your legs are, the less of a workout it truly is. All right? So 20 push-ups and then roll over and 40 sit-ups. Ready? I'm going to shut this off while we're doing this so you don't hear me grunting and groaning. Okay. As everybody kind of catches up, when you're doing your push-ups, right, really try to isolate and feel your shoulders working, right? If you think about it, that does a lot, believe it or not, right? Putting your mind where your body is really does help improve the technique and improve your ability and your form, and will get you stronger, right? So really think about the push that you're doing with your shoulders as you extend and as you contract, right? Really focus on what's working. Try to feel what part of your arm and your chest and your upper body is actually working through the movement. It will help you focus on doing them. You won't focus so much on how many, and you'll just actually get better as you progress through it. So, sit-ups. As I always say, you can do whatever type of sit-up you want to do. Crunches, obliques, leg lifts, your choice. I just want you to do 40 of them or thereabouts, right? And go. All right. Same thing with sit-ups. As you're doing them, focus on your core, right? If you focus on your core, it will build, right? I don't know how else to say it. Focusing on your core is really what's going to help. You can feel the engagement of those core muscles as you're doing the sit-ups. If you don't do that, you run the risk of doing it the wrong way and kind of stressing and hurting your body as you do it. So really focus on the area that's actually doing the technique, and it should be growing from that exercise. All right, footwork. So we've been starting every class. Tuesdays we've been doing the pulling step. Thursdays I've been doing the retreating step, the pushing step, so the jump back. So today is Tuesday. For those that aren't keeping track, it is Tuesday. We are going to do the pulling step forward. So right foot forward, left foot back. Right foot's going to step first, back foot follows. When we withdraw and retreat, our back foot steps, our front foot follows. Again, the nice thing about this step is it allows you to change direction mid-step much easier than the jumping step we did on Thursday. All right, so 10 forward and 10 back. Then we're going to switch sides, do another 10 forward and 10 back, and then we're going to do double advance, double retreat. So right foot forward, advance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Switch your feet, left foot forward. Remember, as you do these, right, practice taking longer retreats, shorter advances, longer advances. You can use this to vary up the distance you travel, right? So the more comfortable you are with moving your feet, the more second nature and muscle memory this will become as you fight and encounter. So left foot forward, advance retreat, 10 up, 10 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Double advance, double retreat. So 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Again, vary up your depth of your step as you're doing it. Okay. 10 forward, 2 steps, 10 retreating. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Remember, we're doing this together, so hopefully you're all doing this at home. These are exercises, these are drills. I want you to do them together with me. So if for some reason you think you were just watching me do it, get your butt out of the chair, and we're doing them together. All right. Footwork is great. I mean, I've done this at my desk. I've done this go down the hall, kind of on cue in Starbucks. I'm just kind of stepping forward. You know, people think I'm a little nuts. I was at Nicole's riding lesson yesterday, and I'm sitting here working out some cut plays and forms, and I'm sitting here with my headset on. I'm going, moving my hand back and forth, and the kids are looking at me like, what are you doing? Like just working out some techniques. So there's always an opportunity to practice. Always take it up, always take the advantage of that opportunity. So left foot forward, double advance, double retreat, 10 each. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, so let's talk for a little bit about footwork. We're going to do a new step in a second, a passing advance, passing retreat. We've done it in class. It's just new to these online classes for us. When you're doing your stepping, right, make sure, a couple things. Make sure overarching, you want to maintain good body alignment. What does that mean? That means I'm not leaning forward. Hopefully you can see that cant in the video. I'm not leaning back in any direction. I want to keep my center of gravity properly aligned, middle of my body. As I move, I don't want to lose that. So I don't want to find myself doing this as I step forward, right? I don't want that cant back. So make sure your back's always straight, your head's always aligned. Also, as you're doing them, I want to keep my head and my entire upper body, what I'll call as quiet as we can. What I mean by that is I'm not making a sine wave with my head. I'm not. Right? Everyone when they start off kind of does this. As they step back, they drop their head and raise their head back up when they step and when they pull their front foot back. Try to avoid that. We want to keep that upper half of your body separate from your lower half when you're doing this. So as you advance, I want to be able to balance and have a nice little line. If it was a shelf, I'd run my head under as I move. It's never going to be absolutely perfect, right? For my engineers out there, sorry guys. But I don't want to get that up and down sine wave type move. All right, super important. Okay, so let's talk about a passing step. Right, footwork. I've said this a billion times. Everybody has said this, right? Footwork is probably one of the most core components and probably one of the most important things in anything, right? Moving is everything, right? If we don't move, we get stuck. And I know we're all cooped up right now, so not a lot of us are moving as much as we can. So hopefully you're out there doing this. We're going to get into the drill in a second. Passing advance is where I don't change my hip alignment. All right, so let's say that again. Passing advances. Passing advance is a movement into my opponent's space or out of my opponent's space, right? More than just a single gathering step. It's actually a good, almost carrying double my general pace without changing my alignment of my hips. So normally if I was to step forward, I would step forward. My hips would change side, right? And all the cutting drills we're going to do, we've done, right? I'll do the goofy thing we used to do in class. As I step forward, you can see my hands actually move from side to side. I'm not squared up walking forward, right? My hands are at an angle. As I step forward, my hips change orientation, right? A passing step allows me to keep the orientation I have with my hip, but also maintain that, get the whole benefit of the farther step. So as I step, I can almost travel a good 6 to 8 feet, 2 strides, right? Depending on your piece. Foot's on the black line. About 5.5, 6 feet, which is kind of my height. So 2 strides, right? Kind of your stride, by the way, 2 strides is usually your height. Just kind of works out that way for most people, at least. It is for me. So right foot forward, left foot back. Passing advance. And this is actually very important where our middle guard and our hip placement is. I don't want to be walking a slack line. Right? There are a lot of fencing styles that do have a very bladed stance all around the world. Totally cool, right? Challenge with that is when you do your passing advance, you've got to kind of step around your foot. Not quite as dramatically as I just did, but you got to step around that foot for the pass. The way we teach it here, and a lot of other schools teach it the same way, it's a little bit of an off, right? So my hips are a little bit of an angle. I'm not quite at 90 degrees, right? I'm here. Foot's going to slide up. I don't change the orientation of my front foot. It's still pointed off to the side. Then I carry my hips forward, carry my back leg forward, and step in. My foot's always aligned to the direction I want to move. My knee's always over my foot. That way I don't tear up my knee as I do this. Passing retreat, I step back with the front foot, pull my back foot into place. I always start and end at the same measure, the same distance between my feet. If I go left foot forward, I'm about 2 feet in between my front and back stance, maybe 20 inches. Step, close. Step, close. Now I can take a bigger step forward, but the close is always to my normal stance. Take a huge step back and take a tiny step back, but I always close to my original stance. All right. Gathering step, this passing step, allows me to maintain the angle of my hip. So if I want to cut to the direction of my hip, right? So I'm cutting from my left to right, whether it's a rising cut or a descending cut, right? I want to maintain that hip power, boom, right? I want to maintain that hip action. If I step forward and try to cut there, I work against my body, right? So that's why a nice thing about a passing step, it gets me closer to my opponent, in or out of measure to my opponent at my discretion, my choice, while maintaining the angle of attack that I want to maintain. So if I'm across from my opponent, I could do a gathering step, get a little bit in close, and then I can do a passing step to get in very close very quickly. And again, I don't change the alignment of my hips. And I can do multiple retreats, I can do multiple advances. It's a great footwork tool to your toolbox. A lot of people will do a step forward for a lot of their cuts. Doing that passing advance, again, it depends on the discipline and where you've come from and what you've done in the past. Might be very second nature to you. Might be something you've trained your entire career. Might be brand new. Try it, incorporate it into your workout. So let's do some drills. 10 up, 10 back. Passing advance, passing retreat. All right, right foot forward, left foot back. Keep your hands up your rod. I want to droop them down, right? I'm not a flop rag doll, right? Passing forward. Passing back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Switch sides. Left foot forward, right foot back. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, same thing. Make sure you don't cant your body forward as you're doing this. Right? Make sure you don't lean back as you're going backwards and head forward as you go forward. 8, 2 more. 9, 10. Good. So why don't I use a saber or a sword when I do this? I want you guys to focus on your footwork, right? I want you to focus on your legs. This becomes muscle memory. I can put any weapon in your hand and your footwork will be equal. I can take the weapons out of your hand and my footwork will be the same, right? Doesn't matter what you want to do, what you're going to do. If I'm throwing kicks, if I'm throwing punches, right? If I'm doing it from this passing advance and I want to advance forward and kick, I can do that. Footwork is everything and universal across, I'll say it, somebody can argue with me, universal across all, everything. Martial arts, sports, I don't care. Footwork, you're not have good at footwork, you're not going to be as good as you can be. Whether it's a baseball stance at a batter's box, right, and how you stand, whether you're in football in a three-point stance at a line or whatever, right? Footwork is everything. Okay, cool. let's do some cuts. Before we, let's do a couple cut drills before we get back to and do some conditioning and then focus on back edge for our lesson for the night. We're going to focus on the descending cuts tonight. We haven't done this in a couple weeks. I think the first class we did online, I did the descending cuts, stepping forward and back. I want to revisit them every 3 or 4 weeks, and it's actually been 4 weeks now. Oh my God, I think. Wow. Okay, so right foot forward, left foot back, middle guard. Hands are extended. Tips towards your opponent's eyes. If you're working in a mirror, your opponent is you, right? You are your own opponent, right? We're going to do, actually we're going to do these a little different today. We're going to do them from the elbow, right? Which means I'm not going to go over my head and step forward for these cuts and back. I'm going to do it from the elbow, which means I'm going to be half cuts, right? So I'm going to end in guard, start in guard, right? I still want to maintain good footwork. I still want to maintain good flow. So grab your saber, grab your sword, whatever you got. Right foot forward, left foot back. Sure, I'll turn that on. Why not? 1, 2, 3. Wow. 10 up and back. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All the mechanics apply. You want the blade to move first, then your body, right? Blade comes, pulls my body into the cut, pushes my body out of the cut, pull, cut, right? I don't want to lean in, because the minute I lean in, I put too much weight on my front leg, and it makes me, it's a two-step process to retreat. I've got to change my weight, shift my weight, and then move back, right? So don't catch yourself leaning forward. Don't catch yourself leaning back. Same issue. One, you've got less balance leaning back, but now most of my weight's on my back leg, and I don't want it there because I got to shift the weight to move. 2 steps, 2 cuts forward. 1, 2. Remember, look at my hips are changing every cut. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Awesome. Switch your feet. Left foot forward. So, we talked about the inside middle stance, middle guard, right? So I can be out, extended. I can also be in. Where do my hands all of a sudden become? Same plane as my leg, right? There's nothing forward for my opponent to snipe at, right? So, up and back 10 times, single cut. Elbows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 cuts forward, 2 back. Remember, hips move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. 10. Good job. Why do I do cuts with my shoulders right before we do push-ups again? I have no clue. All right, let me shut this off, put this down. So let's finish up the first half. Push-ups, sit-ups. Sorry, I'm popping into the mic again. Then we're going to get into edge geometry on a lightsaber. Yes, again, we have edge geometry on a lightsaber, even though it's a round infinite edge. I want to talk about front edge and back edge again. and then do some back edge movements. What can we do? What are the mechanics of a back edge movement? Defensively, offensively, right? The line kind of blurs a little bit, and then we're going to do a cut flow from that. All right, so I'm going to shut the mic off while I do this. 20 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, your pace, your count, and your style. Okay? All right, be back in a sec. All right, I was going to say, is that boring to watch? Better not be boring, because you better not be watching, right? So, give everyone a chance to finish up on your own. Grab yourself a quick water. Hopefully you have water with you. Okay. Let me get my saber again. So I hope everybody's okay. If anyone needs to connect, which hopefully everybody does and wants to still, last 2 weeks on Sunday night, we've been moving around a little bit, but I think we're settling on 8 o'clock Sunday night Eastern time. For those that are on the West Coast that want to join us, or anywhere else that want to join us, you're more than welcome. Just an open chat, right? I've got a Zoom channel now for the school, and just open it up, and whomever signs in, and we talk for an hour, ask each other doing, just rap for a bit and BS for a bit and have some fun. It's PG, so everybody's welcome to attend. Kids are welcome to join in. It really is a nice way, and I wanted to have something to keep us all connected and keep us together. So the invite is on the Facebook page. I will send out the passcode via our chat and our Zoom set. Our Discord server. So we have a Discord server. Thank you, Rock and Nate and everyone who set that up. We have a Discord server, so it's basically going to move out of Facebook at some point and just be exclusively there for chat. So I really want everybody to connect. We had only 4 of us on this past Sunday, but it was nice to just see everybody again and start talking a little bit. So, come on, right? We want to see you. As far as other videos go, we're going to be making a lot more content in the next couple weeks, which I'm super excited about. A lot of techniques, a lot of foundational pieces and parts. We're going to start talking about some of the steel. I've got some other guys coming in. They're going to teach some of our that teach our steel, longsword, and saber and rapier classes. I'm going to start creating some content, so look for that. I'm just trying to make the most, like everyone is, of the time that we have before we can open our doors again, and we are obviously still closed here in Ohio. Before we can open our doors again, I want to get out and get this stuff out to you guys. Also, for my juniors and my kids that are out there watching this, I am going to start up our kids class via Zoom next week. I think next Wednesday will be the first one we're going to do. Bring everyone together, and we can all do some drills and stuff for a half hour, 45 minutes, however long you guys have patience for, and we'll go from there. But again, these drills are open for everybody, and everybody should be doing them regardless of your level. I don't care if you've been fencing and fighting for 30 years or 3 days, right? These are all applicable. So, all right, hope I stalled enough. Let's talk a little bit about edge geometry, back edge versus front edge, right? Yes, I have a lightsaber in my hand. Yes, it's a round, infinite edge, right? There is no front and back technically because it's a round tube cylinder, right? Polycarbonate cylinder. We all know this. We love these. They're fun to play with. But I do want to talk about edge alignment, right? Because we're going to talk about back edge cuts today. So there is a front edge and a back edge to your mechanics, to your movements of your cuts, right? Easiest way to remember it. I'm sure there are tons of ways to think about this, right? The easiest way I always want to teach everybody to remember it is your knuckles align to the front edge of the blade. Now, whether you're holding it in a complete kind of hammer fist, whether you have kind of a modified handshake type grip, whether you're holding it with a thumb in like a thumb grip, right? I'm not going to talk about inverted grips because I don't like them. I don't care who does it. I don't like it. You guys know that. So we're not going to talk about inverted grips. So no matter how you hold, again, whether it's a hammer grip, whether it's a handshake grip, or whether it's a thumb grip, your knuckle alignment is essentially represents the front edge of the blade. If I took this weapon out of your hand and put in a piece of steel, if it's a one side sharp, this would be the sharp edge, the edge, right? The back spine would be here. If it's a long sword or a weapon that has a portion of the back edge sharp, this would be the back edge versus the front edge. So again, alignment wise, your knuckles give you the orientation of the front edge of your blade, and conversely, right, your thumb and your back knuckle is the back edge of the blade. Hope that makes sense. Cool. Let's go through what we can do with the back edge, right? So going to kind of go a few different directions here. We're going to end up with a cut form, a cut flow that does a back edge cut to either a horizontal cut or a back edge to a front edge cut. There's a number of ways you can use the back edge cut. If you take the longsword yoga class with me, we do a combination, a compound cut movement that takes into account two compound cut movements that both take into account back edge and front edge. Matter of fact, we'll do those as the first cut flows that we do for today. So let's do those first, right? Let's talk about back edge movements as I had to think about this. I thought I had a plan for this. This is how I normally am. For those that aren't in class with me, we'll figure how things go as we go. A back edge movement, it's difficult sometimes to step forward with a back edge movement because quite honestly, a back edge is, or to step with an advancing step, right? To change my hip alignment. But not impossible, as I just kind of did to practice and show myself. So let me shift that. So back edge mechanics options. I can use a back edge to beat parry my opponent's blade away. I can use a back edge to attack my opponent itself. So they're both actually quite aggressive actions because I'm contacting and engaging either my opponent or my opponent's blade. And by doing that, I'm being very dynamic and I'm actually trying to forcibly move my opponent or move their blade out of the way or score on my opponent or contact with my opponent. So let's do a couple drills first. We'll do a back edge cut where we're going to come into our opponent's space, right? So we'll start in left foot forward, middle guard, right? Even if it's a guarded stance. From here, if you know middle guard, my back edge is pointing up. I know you can see it in the side mirror. Want to do it in the big. My back edge is pointing away. So from middle guard to attack or to action with the back edge, kind of not the most. It's a much more compound movement to do, thereby slower, thereby why would you do it, right? So I want to drop down into low guard. So if I go into general low guard, so middle low guard, right? I can go off to the side in a minute. Middle low guard. Now my back edge is still pointing up, but I'm probably below the line of attack of my opponent, right? So my opponents could be across from me in any number of our guard positions or invitations. And when they are, I drop into low guard. And we've talked about low guard. It opens up the high line of your body, right? I can use that back edge by pushing down on my back half of the hilt, right? Pommel area of the hilt, and strike up. So I can do a back edge attack in place. I can do it retreating or forward. It really depends on what I want to do. If I'm just out of measure of my opponent and I see them start to move into a higher guard, right where they start to raise their hands up, I can step into space with a gathering step, and as I do that, perform that upward cut. So let's do that together. So middle guard, drop to low guard. I want you to step forward, advance, rise and cut, bang. Step back. So this is a vertical rise and cut, right? Up from the bottom. Low guard, step forward, cut up. Good. And again, my movement precedes my step. Doesn't matter the technique, doesn't move. My movement always precedes my step. So, drop to low guard, watch your opponent. My opponent is in middle guard. They decide to go, start to raise their arms up. Perfect opportunity for me to go in for the strike. If they're out in forward high guard and they're out there trying to bait me on, right, and they're not queuing up their attack, right, and you can see them kind of playing and get right up underneath, right? So it's a great advancing back edge attack to strike. Can I do that attack with the front edge? Sure, it's slower because I've got to roll and strike up. Low guard, push down. And again, my front hand, if you notice, isn't moving, right? I'm not pushing it up with my front hand. I'm pushing down with my backhand. It's a lot quicker. So low guard, push down, exaggerating my hand here. I shouldn't be using open fingers like this, but push. My front hand really doesn't move. I could just rest my blade there so I can't grab it and just pivot on my finger. I'll go left hand so you guys can see that, right? Push. Low guard, push. Down. So a rising attack with the back edge is a super effective in measure technique. Now I can't do that if my opponent is, you know, just standard measure away, right? 6 to 8 feet away from me, because it's meant to be a close measure, because it's meant to be just a gathering step. Can I do a passing step to a rising cut? Sure, but at that point I'm walking into my opponent's space. You got to be very careful about that, right? So again, I'm in close, bang, we're fighting, drops into low guard, strike up, strike. I get someone who kind of isn't paying attention to their measure, right? They're not quite reading how close I am to them. Great. I might drop that guard. Maybe I'll even pull my arms in a tiny bit, right, into a guarded low guard, a middle low guard, right, to get them to kind of start to walk forward. But I can use that gathering step, upward strike, back edge attack. That's probably the simplest back edge attack to do, right? I'm down in low guard. I'm pushing my pommel down, striking up. Cool. Let's look at a rising back edge cut from rear guard. So we're in middle guard. We want to draw our opponent in. I'll step back into a rear low guard or step back into a rear side guard, right? From here, if you look, where's your edge alignment? My knuckles are pointing down, so my edge is facing down. So my back edge is up, especially if I'm in a side guard or a side low, right? My back edge is facing up, which is great because it affords a much quicker movement. And again, I'm pushing as well as pulling, right, to get that compound movement to bring this edge to my opponent. Can I rotate and strike with the front edge? Absolutely, right? Just doing a back edge cut today though. So we're here. I got into this rear low guard to draw my opponent into me. So maybe I see them starting to gear up. They're coming into shoulder guard. I can see them starting to want to come forward into a vertical cut or a descending cut, right? I pull them back. Come on in, right? I've got two options with this cut. There's a lot of options. I'll go through two today, right? First is as they're coming forward, depending on how aggressive they're moving, right? I can step back with my left foot up into a rising cut. Oh, I ended a middle guard. Surprise, right? So step back, cut. They're coming at me. They're not overly aggressive, right? They're not trying to trample me like a bull, right? But they are coming forward and trying to do a cut. Maybe they're trying to do a throwing cut forward. I want to just step my head out of the way and snap up and catch them on their arms, right? Difficult to catch the hands from the bottom. You might hit a knuckle, right? You can get in a little bit and catch that forearm quite well with this. So again, I'm here, or I'm off to the side in a side low, strike up as I step back. Second option, I can step out to an angle. So I'm here, out. So I might have a super aggressive opponent that wants to zip past me. Here, stepping, remember the clock we put around our bodies, right? I'm stepping up at the 3 or 2 o'clock area, so on our logo, up to the upper right. Step up with the back leg, strike up. That way I've cleared this lane. I'm going to do this the other side. So I'm left foot forward, right? Step, strike. I've cleared this lane for them to run through, do whatever they want to do, right? But I've low guard, strike as they come through. Rear low, strike. My foot goes back. Yes, I'm closing my back leg. I think we talked about this last week, right? Depends on what I want to do as a combination. If I want to go to my inside and go to my outside, or my opponent's inside versus outside, right? If I close that back leg, I got to travel way the heck across to get there, right? If I just want to perform this action as they're coming by and I want to clear my body out of the way, bang, I will close that back leg across, which really opens up that lane. If I don't and I want to throw a combination, boom, I might keep this leg here because I might want to throw a secondary cut over the top depending on how they respond to my first cut. Why am I looking over there? I have no idea. Hope that makes sense. So first one we did was a rising cut from a forward middle guard, a low middle guard, excuse me. Next one is a rising cut from a low rear guard, right? Two different ways of doing that. I can step back for that rising cut, or I can step out for that back edge rising cut, right? Now, what I just did there, I kind of came back here into a guard. I just came to a shoulder guard. It was a lazy one, but it was a shoulder guard, right? I could do that same cut and stop in a middle forward guard, right, an extended guard, and make sure that I keep my opponent away if they decide to not get to that bait and come in. So, back edge cuts, forward cut, from a rear cut, stepping out, back edge, or stepping back, back edge. Do I ever want to step in? Maybe, right? But I really have to be far away from my opponent. I've got to truly be out of measure. For me, my left foot's on this line, right? If I step forward with my tip, my blade, I'm going to go travel. That tip's almost on this line, right? So that's 8 feet to hit my opponent. Now, if I'm targeting their closest area, so their arm, maybe their torso, right? They're got to be pretty far away from me. So this bait of me stepping back in a low guard, if they're 8 feet away from me, we got to question that invitation, right? Why am I doing that invitation? So yes, I can step forward. Yes, it will close a lot of distance, but was it the right choice? Debatable, my opinion. Okay, so let's look at a compound action from there. Let's start with the rear low. So left foot forward, right foot back, rear low guard. So we're going to do rising cut, right? And then stepping forward into a front edge cut. I can equally go rising cut, step back into a front edge cut as well. So let's think about this for a second. Let's break this down. I'm doing a compound movements, rising cut back edge, rising cut front edge, right? I'm doing them both from the same side, from my right. In order for me to do that, I've got to make sure that my hips are in alignment with that second cut. I don't want to step forward, oh, now I'm doing this behind the back thing and it isn't the most efficient cut. So I'm rising cut, rotating around, stepping forward, rising cut, front edge. Or rising cut, stepping back, front edge. Hopefully you're asking, well, wait a second, that doesn't make sense, because if you hit him with the second cut, or hit your opponent with the second cut, they shouldn't have been in measure for the first cut, right? Or if you hit them with the first cut, you don't need the second cut. You're right on both counts, right? So we talked a couple weeks ago about feints or false attacks. So this is an out of measure false attack in what we're practicing here, right? So I'm here, my opponent is across from me. I'm going to bait them with a forward hit. So a forward back edge hit. I want to see what they're going to do. If they retreat, right, and they're out of measure, so I'm not going to hit them, right? This is a false attack. It's an attack out of measure that is not meant to contact my opponent. It is meant to elicit a response in my opponent. Okay? Now my opponent could be sitting there and say, so? Okay, it's elicited a response. Not what I wanted, but it's a response. Now I know that they've got to, they understand what I'm trying to do. So, back edge strike up. If it gets them to retreat, I immediately step forward with that rising cut. Make sense? So, throw that back edge cut, elicit a response. In the first scenario, they actually said, whoop, and they start to back up. Good. I've got them on their heels. So immediately rotate that blade and come forward with a rising cut. So let's do that 5 times each side. So, rotate, step forward. 1. Back to guard. 2. 3. 4. 5. Yes, either side works. 1. Back edge on the left side for some people will feel awkward. It feels awkward for me when I first used to do it. So again, throwing, pushing with that pommel. 2. 3. 4. 5. Again, you want to throw that first attack because you're out of measure, right? You know you're not going to hit them. But for some reason, if you need to stop in the middle of that, your blade is safe, your blade is extended, you've got a point threatening your opponent still. So see what they do. Hope they stepped back. Good. Cool. Maybe they're going to take the bait and wait for that rotation and then advance in. Very, 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 very likely, right? So, boom. They advance in. The minute they see me start to move, they start to advance in. Uh-oh. Now, retreat, strike up. So it's low, rising cut front edge. So again, let me come a little forward here. Rising cut, retreating rising cut front edge. Let's do that 5 times. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Switch sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, I'm going very linear here. Realize that, right? I could easily go back edge, step side, up, right? Back edge cut, step out from my front edge cut. All the 8 directions that we practice, right? You can apply those to any of your cuts. I want you to get the movement of the body first and then start aligning that to your footwork, and you'll see that it becomes this exponential amount of options that you have available to you. So, all right, probably the most common back edge cut is that rising, at least from my perspective, that rising back edge cut, right? Whether you're starting in low guard, popping up, whether you're starting in rear low guard, striking in and following it up with a advancing rising cut with the lead edge, or a retreating rising cut with the lead edge. Back edge is super powerful to use, right? We used it as a direct attack, right? Sorry, I was thinking. Direct attack, right? Stepping in, direct attack, stepping back, direct attack, in place, direct attack. We can also use it as an attack to the blade, right? So a beat parry. So let's talk a little bit about beat parries. A lot of ways to describe beat parry. I'm trying to think of the best way to talk through it. Essentially, it's a way where I engage my opponent's blade forcibly to move it from its line that it currently resides in. So I wish I had somebody across from me. I don't. We're going to get a Pell here next week. So you saw the Pell, and hopefully you saw how to make a Pell video. Well, Eric's made one with a blade inside of it, and most places have those as well. We've now got one, so I'm really excited about that. Essentially, what I want to do is I want to beat my opponent's. My opponent's blade is in forward middle guard. I'm going to roll out and strike at my opponent's blade. So I can do that. I can do that with the front edge, bang, and strike across. What I'm doing, instead of just engaging their blade and displacing it, or enveloping it, or riding it in, or riding it forward, I'm actually hitting it, right? So I'm attacking their blade, and I'm doing that in a way to move their blade off the line of attack so I can own the line of attack that I want to own. Now, I can do that to a static invitation. I can do that to an active cut as the cut's coming down. I can move the blade to the side and use that as a defensive action to attack their blade. It also helps me rotationally into a follow-up cut. That's what we're going to go through now. It's a little bit of an advanced technique, but I think it's kind of fun. It doesn't, how it works, you got to practice it to really be able to get off the line of attack. When you land it, though, it will be one of those, ooh, that was really nice moments. So, left foot forward, right foot back, middle guard, right, low guard, right. We're going to be off to the side. What we have an opponent. We're going to do it from an active cut for a second. Opponent is striking down either a descending cut or a vertical cut. So either an angled cut to my shoulder, or they're coming down to my head. First thing I want to do is move off to the side. Let them go, right? Get my body safe. But again, like we always say in the footwork drills, that doesn't, or the parry drills that we do, that doesn't impact or influence their train of thought or their strategy. It just gets me safe. Good thing, but only, one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is I want to now take control of this encounter. So we're here. We did the false edge cut. Sorry, the back edge cut, whether it's a false attack or a true attack, right? What I want to do now is I want to use the back edge, and again, I'm using this as the mechanical device it is, the lever, pushing down, striking that blade as it comes in. So envision this blade coming down, strike, and I'm beating this blade aside. So what happens is, bang, the blade will go off to the angle, right? Which should open up my opponent's high line, which should be right here. So if my opponent is coming down and they're attacking at me, I've caught their blade and beat it to the side. What happens? I turn their entire inside into my attack. Hopefully that made sense. I want to get a partner in here hopefully next week, and we'll do this as a partner drill. We'll have masks on, don't worry. Right? So I'm going to step out with this because, again, I want to make sure I'm safe, because if I miss, I don't want to still get hit. So as I step out, I'm going to rotate the blade over and meet my opponent's blade and knock it to the side. Easiest way to say it. Strike. Now, if I go too far and I stop, I have nothing protecting me for their counterattack that I just put their blade this way. They're either going to come immediately back or they're going to come around for that strike, right? I've taken my blade and taken it out of a protective area for me. It's behind me now, right? So use this as a compound attack. So part 1, beat, bang. Part 2, roll, back edge down. We didn't do that one yet, but it's actually a really cool. So again, back edge, thumb, coming around, striking, back edge, rolling, pulling the pommel. It's a mechanical device, smacking down to their head, which again we just brought into line because I knocked their blade to the side. It's a really cool technique. A lot of guys use it quite well. So it's 1, 2. Now, what I do also do again, I make sure that leg is back because I want that reach in case my opponent comes around. If I kind of keep my leg, I want that hip action. I can't get that hip action as well with my foot staying here planted. So I want to close that line and come across. Didn't know we were going on this path, but I like this one. We'll do it on both sides so we get a better view here. So rear low guard, strike, beat, parry, back edge, strike, top of the head. And again, that movement is with my hand. So rear low guard, strike, strike. Let's walk through that. I want to try to get it to that view. So I step out, pull the hilt up, strike down. Pivot, strike down. Push the hilt forward. Push that pommel forward. Bang. Sorry, backwards. Right? So 1, 2. So I'm rolling with that second cut. 1, 2. From the left, 1, 2. It's actually a nice drill. We'll probably do that one as a flow. We'll start and go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's do that together. I like that. Left foot forward, right foot back. Rear low guard. Sorry, it's probably pretty loud. Rear low guard. Step out, strike down. 1. Pommel, pull. 2. Left foot forward, rear low guard. Step out, strike down. 1. Rotate. 2. Again, knuckles are up. Palm is away from you. 1. Palm is toward me now because my right hand side. 2. 2 more each side. 1. 2. Kind of a cool thing to do, right? It's a back edge attack. So let's recap for a second here on the back edge attacks that we did. And I consider that last one certainly absolutely an attack because I am attacking my opponent's blade. It is setting up for, it's a compound attack. Part 1 is I'm hitting their blade out of the way, opening their line up. Part 2, I'm hitting them with a secondary back edge attack. So from middle, right foot forward, low guard, direct back edge upward attack. Forward or retreating. Advancing or retreating. Right. Rear foot, rear guard, sorry. Retreating, direct attack. Bang. Advancing. Advancing up to an angle. Still a back edge attack. False attack to a back edge, to a front edge attack. False attack, rotate. So we're using the back edge to set up an attack. Either forward, out, or back. Lastly, using that back edge as a beat parry to attack their blade, throw their balance off, bring their head into attack, follow up with a circular back edge attack to the back of the head. So 1, 2. One more time. Beat, bang, bang. So I'm catching their attack as they're throwing it. Boom. Now, can I do that against a static middle guard? My opponent's here? Sure, if they let me. If they stay in middle guard and I'm in rear guard and they stay there and I can beat that blade aside, cool. Why not? Right? The dynamic attack is more likely going to happen than someone standing in static guard, because if they are, you can do a front edge beat just as easy. Bang. Right? As a back edge, depending on what guard you want to be in. But sidebar. If someone presents their blade to me in a middle guard, right? I want to take it. I want to engage their blade, right? I want to be able to understand their intention, right? Because once I contact my blade to theirs, and I don't care if it's a lightsaber or a steel, right? Once I engage their blade, I can start to understand their intention. I can feel when they're going to move. Right? So if you want to give me your blade, I'm going to take it. We're going to change, and we're going to, circle around for lead. We're going to change line of attack. Fine. But if you keep your blade there, I'm going to take it. Sometimes. Other times I might just say, oh, the heck with it. Bang, beat it away, or back edge beat it away like we just did. Open that line up directly and counterattack to the head. Same way I can do a back edge attack. I can flow right into a front edge vertical cut, right? So last thing I'll show is back edge, even if I'm in low guard, back edge, boom, bang. So, sorry, I make a lot of sound effects. You all know that. So, back edge attack, boom. I naturally want to roll my my blade forward for the strike, as opposed to rolling it back. Equally, depends. Both should work, but I can use this back edge beat to step in with a front edge attack. I can also use a back edge beat to press into a thrust, so I can maintain contact. I can be in opposition, push, and thrust in. Right? I can do all that in 1 minute. So tons you can do. Don't forget about the back edge of your weapon. Especially with a lightsaber, we get off. Some people get very sloppy and start to use the side because it is an infinite edge, so there's less worry about alignment. Always focus on alignment, on blade edge alignment, as if this was an edged weapon, right? If you're not doing that, you're really not, you're looking at the weapon differently. And I would prefer if you looked at it as if it is an edged weapon, because the mechanics of your body align to the mechanics of these cuts and moves. So with that, I think we will end it there. Let's do our plank. So again, 1 minute plank drill. I know you all can do it. I know you've all been looking forward to it the entire time. I'm sure you have. You can do it. It's easy. I think next week we're going to up it to maybe we'll up it to 1.5 minutes. If you can go 1.5 minutes, minute 10, if you can go more than a minute, stay here and do it, because I'm just going to talk for 30 seconds after we're done anyway. Stay here and do it. So, all right, let's get down. 1 minute plank. You can be up on your forearms, or you can be down on your forearms, right? Full arms on your hands or down on your forearms. I'm going to do it on my forearms. Ready? Go. Kind of forgot where I started there for a second. Had to remember that. Thursday night, 6 o'clock, yoga. Come to it's a good half-hour conditioning class. Really works the core well. We go through these compound back edge, front edge cuts, both rising like we did tonight, but we also do a descending cut where we end with that downward strike back edge cut that we did with the beat parry earlier. So you can absolutely apply and practice what we did tonight in every one of the yoga classes. If you want to catch up, check out the video. I think tonight's was pretty good sound-wise, so use that one. We are at 40 seconds, by the way, right now. So 20 more seconds. Keep your core nice and tight, your back nice and straight. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. Hopefully that went pretty quick. I think it did. All right. Sorry. If there's anything you all want to see, techniques, have a question, want to do a play, let me know. I'll happily incorporate it in. Excuse me. Maybe we'll even do some one-handed techniques and guards in the next couple weeks as well with the lightsaber. Again, it's going to come directly from either one-handed military or dueling saber or rapier guards that we have throughout European history, right? So we have that here, and we're going to apply. If there's interest, so let me know if you're interested in that. Other than that, like the video, subscribe to the page, send me a comment. I love seeing them. Thank you guys for everybody that's kind of tuning in and access people. The few people that we have, and I thank you for those that are, they're all over the world. So that's really kind of cool. Hopefully this is enjoyable to you. It gets me out and helps me get me moving. It keeps me practicing as well, and that's exactly the intention I want for all of you as well. So hopefully you're all moving while we're doing this, and you're not just sitting there watching it as wherever you might be. So again, any questions, hit me up, and thank you all very much, and I will see you all in 2 days on Thursday night. All right, cheers folks. Thanks.